For as long as we've known playing the Metroid games, there's always been one huge thing that's been made very apparent from the very first game on the NES. The biggest threat to galactic peace are the Metroids. The Metroids are the namesake of the series, the parasitic creatures that Samus has fought on many occasions, given, in the last couple of Metroid games. The name has been a little bit loose with the lack of the Metroid, but here's the thing. The Metroids, and spoiler alert for the series, the Metroids were actually created by a benevolent race of bird alien known as the Chozo. And what they did was, a long time ago, when they were mining for a resource called Aeon on the planet SR388, they broke into an underground cavern where they quickly found the X-parasites. Now, they saw these things in work and what they were doing to wildlife, and they themselves decided to declare that the X-parasites were fundamentally evil. So, what they did was, they created the Metroids to actually destroy the X-parasites. Mind you, Metroids are very powerful and dangerous creatures. You saw what a larvae has done to people. You've seen what the Metroid in Super Metroid has done to creatures. It's turned people into dust, literally, by sucking all the life energy out of them. The Chozo thought that the X-parasites were that dangerous to where they justified creating such a terrifying predator to kill them. Now, what's so scary about the X-parasites, right? They look like gummies. They look actually kind of tasty, right? You would think that, anyways, from looking at a picture of them. However, these things are nasty, to say the least. They're one of the scariest things that have come out of this franchise, in my humble opinion. What do these things do? How harmful could they be, Snake Solid? Well, I'll tell you how harmful they could be. The X-parasites are the primary antagonist of Metroid Fusion, as well as appearing in other games such as Metroid Dread. And they're quite dangerous, as I've implied several times throughout this video already. In fact, they're powerful enough to where they almost killed Samus. Now, in her first encounter with the X-parasites, in Samus's first encounter with the X-parasite, she's back on the surface of SR388 after annihilating all Metroids in Metroid 2. This is the first time since then that she's there. And she's leading a bunch of research people for research stuff on the surface. Now, she comes across a Hornode which she shoots and kills. But after she kills it, it turns into this weird alien creature that goes inside of her. Now, the narration of Fusion's a little goofy. Samus is like, I decided to pay no mind to it and I forgot about it, or something along the lines of that, but then, like, if that happened to me, I would be on top of that shit right away. But later on, when she's in her ship, after completing the mission, she falls unconscious after going through a really bad attack from something. And she's picked up by the BSL research team, who try saving her life by getting to her, by cutting away at her suit, since it says specifically that large portions of her suit had been corrupted and needed to be removed. Now, this is because the X-parasite had started infesting her neurological system, and was essentially eating all of her tissue, as it says on the wiki. And she ends up looking like this before showing her suit getting cut away. It's like the yellow stuff bulging out of her is really disturbing if you really think about what it says the X-parasites do to their victims. And it disfigures her bad enough to where she looks like this. Now, if that's not bad enough, the X are really dangerous. They're like if you took The Thing from the movie and you made it not only super intelligent, but also incredibly mobile. The X are gelatinous, and they can fit into the smallest of surfaces as they fly around and go into places. But that's not their most dangerous ability. Their most dangerous ability is that they can, within seconds of infesting a host, they can kill the host, they can take their memories and their DNA, and once they've assimilated their host, they can turn into that host. And it's a near perfect copy, as we've seen in Fusion. However, an incredibly uncanny ability that the X parasites have is that they're completely able to not only completely copy the memories and the abilities and the form of the creature that they copy, but they can also add in other features from other creatures that they have also assimilated. This has been shown many times in Fusion as well as a few times in Dread, and the weird uncanny way they look in Fusion is just unnerving, to say the least. Like, look at this hive thing from Super Metroid. In Super Metroid, it's completely static and it doesn't move. But in Fusion, it writhes. And, like, it's so gross. And if another X parasite combines with another X, then they can form into a larger creature. Like, when this hive thing combines with another X parasite, it then becomes a huge, huge writhing mass. And the X have so many uncanny qualities to them. Like, they either have a hive mind or they have an undying loyalty to keeping their species safe at any cost whatsoever. This has been shown when the X parasites infested a human and then used the human host to try and blow up the BSL research station because it was thinking of the life, it was thinking of that as sparing the brethren it had on the planet of SR-388 because it saw Samus as that much of a threat to the X parasites, basically. But not only do X parasites have that, not only can they copy organic things, but they can copy biotechnological things as well. For example, there's an X parasite that takes over the neural network of this security robot that you fight partway through Fusion. You fight it when it's normal, but then once you break open its thing, it runs away and then reappears later on in Sector 6. This boss fight is a lot more hard, and it's using higher level security things that it hadn't previously used. And of course, if we're talking about bioorganic things, do you remember earlier when I said that the X parasites, the parts of Samus's suit, you remember earlier when I told you about the parts of Samus's suit that were removed? Yeah, they sent those to the BSL research station too, and let's just say what they turn into is... yeah, that is the SAX. That is an X that has copied Samus from Super Metroid. And that is just terrifying. As Samus says in the game, the SAX is like her, except soulless, with no moral compass. A killing machine. And that is terrifying. A lot of parts in Fusion have you being chased by what is essentially a stronger version of yourself. You will never be as strong as the SAX in Fusion. You can only barely kill it in the final encounter with it, and when it does, it transforms into this huge mass, fleshy mass that's like a combination of the frog enemy it was, as well as Samus. This is just straight up terrifying on so many levels. It reminds me of The Thing, but we aren't even to the worst of the things that the X parasites have done. Given, I do think they are more uncanny in Fusion, but in Dread they're just as unnerving. For example, they're shown to be able to form into a full creature from just a tiny piece of its DNA, given from the fact that the only piece of DNA left behind by Kraid, when you kill him in Dread, is the spike. But then that spike is all they need to reform the body of Kraid during the final boss. And one more thing I'll say, you get to see the impact that the X-Parasite have on a planet where literally nothing can stop them. What they do to ZDR is absolutely nightmarish. And honestly, it was a really great way to raise difficulty in the second half of the game, if I'm being honest, but it's also terrifying. Like, when I entered that part of ZDR and all those X-Parasites showed up, I was like, oh no, we're not doing this again. And I was both excited to see them break out of that and fly all over the map and become more relevant to the game, as much as I was horrified at the fact that they were. And as soon as leaving it, you see the X-Parasites collide with previous natural enemies, life enemies, that then become X-Parasites. They become X-hosts. And, oh boy, you get to see X-Parasites doing that thing where they take traits from other creatures when forming into bigger ones. Like with this stupid-ass bug that is way too hard that can shoot a bunch of electric projectiles, as well as what it does at the end of the game to Ravenbeak. Now, it's safe to say that the X-Parasites might be gone with ZDR, but that's the type of shit that's really gripping about this. And with that, I'll leave you to just appreciate the fact that we don't live in a universe with X-Parasites. Thanks for watching.
No escape your hair. Let loose. Ready? I'll make it count. This. Ready? Come. No escape your hair. Let loose. Ready? I'll make it count. This. Ready? Come. No escape your hair. Let loose. Ready? I'll make it count. This. Ready? Come. No escape your hair. Let loose. Ready? I'll make it count. This. Ready? Come. No escape your hair. Let loose. Ready? I'll make it count. This. Ready? Come. No escape your hair. Let loose. Ready? I'll make it count. This. Ready? Come. No escape your hair. Let loose. Ready? I'll make it count. This. Ready? No escape your hair. Let loose. Ready? I'll make it count. This. Ready? No escape your hair. Let loose. Ready? I'll make it count. This. Ready? No escape your hair. Let loose. Ready? I'll make it count.